Y is recorded in front of a live studio audience.
So on Saturday, we are hosting a Sound of Music party.
Yes. Are you going to be Rolf, the evil Nazi?
No, so the younger and I have put together trivia for everybody.
Yes.
We got clickers for folks to ring in. It's all a
Hmm.
PowerPoint presentation with graphics and everything. Some multiple choice, some other things.
This
So,
is amazing.
and it's like complete the line type stuff, but then also film facts. So the one thing I knew that at the end of the movie when they're climbing the mountain and they're going into not Austria, Italy. They're going,
I
or
don't,
they're when they're running away after
right.
they went
It's
after
not
they.
Switzerland.
No, I don't think
No.
so. One, actually, that mountain they're climbing would bring them into Germany.
Right.
In the background, you can see the eagle's nest,
Oh,
which is insane.
yes.
To say nothing of the fact that the actual Von Trapp escape was them going to a train station.
Right.
Um, but
That's okay.
it's yeah,
And now they have a ski resort.
they do. So I have to leave early for a wedding, but I've got a Von Trapp family chalet shirt. The
Sweet.
the younger is wearing lederhosen, wanted to.
Yes.
The elder, we thought it was cool.
Ooh, I have some really cool lederhosen from that era from Switzerland I should have
Oh,
sent to you.
the elder, we keep saying like it's so cool looking. It's a t-shirt, it's a big circle, and the words form the circle, and you really have to look at it for a second. But it says do re mi fa sol la ti do. We're like,
That's
you could wear
amazing.
this anywhere, and it is appropriate
Yes, that's awesome.
for shows, for whatever, because you
Yes.
have to stare at it for a second. It's like talked just enough where you don't go, oh, I start at 10 o'clock and then I go and it's somewhere else. So it's perfectly confusing.
Oh my God. Yes.
So tonight I'm hoping to paint some mountains to put above the TV.
Somebody needs oh my God, somebody needs it could be a Swifty shirt. Someone needs a shirt that says, "It's me, I'm the problem, it's me."
Well, my wife is wearing a dress that looks very, very close to the pattern on the curtains.
Oh, that's perfect. I mean, that's perfect. But somebody does need that t-shirt because if
Yeah,
someone goes, "Why are you wearing that shirt?" They can just go, "I'm Maria."
right.
That'd be
That
hilarious.
would that would be good. We are going to hang a sleigh bone next to our doorbell and put
Absolutely.
signs next to both of them.
Yes.
And then we're going to have a big stringy thing of brown string of
Yes.
paper packages.
Are you putting extra, like, are you gonna put a Dolly mustache on one of the cats?
No, unfortunately. Fran, we have a habit for her, but she's not loving
Oh my
it.
God, she'd be the cutest little nun.
She can run around. She doesn't like having it cover her
You need
ears.
extra whiskers on your kittens, though.
That's true, but
Or an extra
Pancake's not.
kitten,
No, that's true. That
because they're
is
not really
true.
kittens anymore. They're kind of grown
No,
up.
I mean, we still call them kittens.
Mhm.
This is Why with your hosts, Heidi Hedquist and Luke Poling.
And the 0-1 pitch. And that knuckler runs low. 1-1. And the 1-1.
Where does this come from?
And that
I mean,
one
it's such a
misses
great idea,
inside.
and listening to it evokes such nostalgia. But for you, what was the origin story for this podcast?
Well, I have for a long time had problems sleeping, as many of us do, I'm sure. So I was kind of rolling around the idea of making, originally it was like a kind of an NPR style variety show, but would just be like super boring. Like, here's a news report, like an audio story about, something that is nothing happens or whatever. Um, and then as part of that, I was going to use fake baseball radio broadcasts, but I don't know. The fake baseball started getting bigger and bigger in my head, so I just kind of ran with that. Just took it all the way as an entire full-length broadcast, fake broadcast.
And so you come up with this idea, and then you have to stock the teams, come up with a league. How long was it from sort of inspiration to actual release of here is the first game we're doing?
It was embarrassingly long. Um,
Mm.
I feel like it might have been 2+ years. Um,
Was that from trial and error or just
that was from procrastination and dread of the of what it would take to put that together for the first time.
mhm.
Um, but in a way, I sort of mulled over like the whole process, kind of just in the background for like a year, 2 years, and so I think that did help me when I finally did start to make them. They came together relatively quickly, just because I had kind of worked through in my head these are the steps, and here's how it needs to be done.
And do you do these alone? Is there a kind of cadre of folks behind you?
It's mostly just me. I have some friends that do like the fake ads and voiceover stuff for me, but the actual process of it is all me so far.
And how does that work in putting this all together? Do you map out a full game and then call it? Do you make this up as you go? Do you just have the lineup cards?
So I start with lately I've been using 1990s MLB games, complete games. Um,
Oh, so
and
these are
so
actual games.
Right. They're not one to one exactly. The plays are not exactly the same. For one thing, I use far fewer pitching substitutions, but
Thank you on
for the
behalf
most
of,
part,
yeah.
it's a re yeah. So they're based on a real game. I'll watch the game on like YouTube or wherever I find it, and I have a scorecard, and I fill out the scorecard and write a script. And I've substituted in the fake players for the real players, whatnot. Um, then I write a script, and then it's just a matter of recording this humongous script and editing it into a, final piece.
And how long, so how detailed is the script? Are you every single at bat? Do you kind of know what the gist of the game is? Do you go by half innings?
I record them half inning at a time. But yeah, they're all plotted out from start to finish. It's every play of an actual ball game for more or less.
And so how long does it take you to record one of these things? And then there's all the other sound effects and all of that.
Right. These days I've gotten more efficient, but it still probably takes from starting the script to uploading it, it probably takes 30 to 40 hours of
Per,
actual man hours.
per episode?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm just the whole thing is so wonderful. I put it on this afternoon before we talked to kind of make notes to actually ask you questions, and literally found myself drifting off. So I think that's a proof of concept, certainly. Where do you get these names from? Because there's some of them that sound like great baseball names. I mean, Jerry Durante, I loved.
Guarantee.
Um, yeah, Hector Pena, Ernesto Stern. I mean, these sound like real players that you could hear on any afternoon.
Hector Pena is an actual person that I worked with several years ago, and that's a great name.
It is. Does he
Erne-
know?
I don't know if he knows or not.
Because he's a
Um,
switch hitter, which is pretty good.
right, that's right.
Yeah.
Ernesto Stern is named after my friend Al's dog, Ernie. Um, and then my wife loves coming up with fake names, so she has like a whole running list. She's made most of the fake names, probably over half of them for sure.
And as you go through the season and the years, is it harder because I'm assuming you have to keep track of some of these players and what they're doing, or the fact that I'm sorry, that Hector is a switch hitter, as far as batting averages and the sort of things that announcers are bringing up on a regular basis. How how into that do you go with all of it?
I don't yet have and it's weird how many people ask for this, but I don't have like a stats page, you
Hmm.
know. But I have which I actually we may do that. Well, I mean, we might do that. But I do have like a spreadsheets of every team and the players and their handedness and notes on this or that if there's something notable that needs to be remembered.
And what is it about one of these games when you pull them up of the actual MLB games that you're sort of cribbing from? Are you looking for a low score, or are you looking for basically the opposite of what anyone else would be looking for when looking for baseball highlights, I'm assuming?
I do kind of look for low scores, and I definitely only do National League games because we don't use a designated hitter in the sleep baseball world. But other than that, I just it's been fun to actually. I enjoy that part of the process of, oh, here's a game where Greg Maddux almost threw a no hitter in, just threw like 70 pitches in a complete game, one hitter or whatever. It's been fun
Hmm.
to watch some old games like that, but yeah.
What's your team allegiance?
Um, I am a fan of Pat Hughes, who is the Chicago Cubs radio broadcaster. So by default, and I live very close to Wrigley Field. That's a mile away or whatever. So I'm sort of default a Cubs fan. That's probably the team I pay the most attention to. But eh,
But default means like you've got somebody in your back pocket of like, but really, I'm I was gonna say Guardians fan, but I'm trying to think
I
of a
mean, I
better.
grew up as a Minnesota Twins fan.
Okay.
So I mean, I have a soft spot for them. I like the Brewers. I don't know why. They're, division rival of the Cubs, but I love the city of Milwaukee. So
And I'm just, and even the sound of these things, because in putting this together, part of it is this great AM radio sound that we're almost directly on the uh, numbers, but we're kind of drifting in and out. Uh, How do you do that? How long did it take you to, was that always going to be we're going to be kind of coming and going given what the weather conditions are, at some point at some night?
yeah, I definitely wanted kind of it's a very super compressed, and it's very much, it has like a white noise floor under it. I think that helps with there's not as many volume spikes. It's kind of just it's almost its own white noise.
Hmm.
Certainly by design. Yeah. Took
And
a
that was
lot.
something kind of like early on, you were like, it's got to sound like it's coming and going out
Right.
of.
Right, absolutely. Has to sound like an AM radio broadcast.
And it's amazing. I just throughout my life, like baseball on AM radio is its own special thing that cannot be. There's nothing else like it. Um, and just it this brings back memories almost of things I feel like that I was not there for. It didn't happen. These games like have that. I, I'm trying to think of a better example, but like reading a Stephen King book where he talks about like the dairy teams and what's going on and just that world. It feels like that. You've created this little subsection of a place that doesn't exist that has these teams. How far have you gone outside of the world? Because obviously you have on weeknights you have night notes at 10 o'clock, your advice and jazz um, smooth jazz show. How how deep does this go? Do you have a record of, well, we can't advertise this show because that's going to compete with this and businesses and all of that? Where does this how far do you go with this? How far down this rabbit hole?
Well, my main collaborator, his name's Phil Hunter. He lives in Minneapolis. We're old friends. He's written most of the ads, probably over half. 75% of the ads are him, and they're voiced by him. And so he'll come up with things that then get sort of rolled into the sleepy universe we're trying to build.
Hmm.
So it's ever expanding, but very slowly.
Well, it
Yeah.
should be slow, right?
Right, right, right.
How long did it take you to find Wally's voice? Because that's a certain affect that you need.
Yeah, I was originally gonna do kind of a baseball-y announcer, like a Red Barber, or I don't know, Vin Scully.
Hmm.
Um, and I realized very early on that that would take a lot more acting talent than I have to keep that up over a 3-hour show.
Hmm.
So I was better off using a more subdued version of my actual, just general speaking voice. So all I have to do is just get into kind of a low key, sleepy mindset, and I can do it pretty easily now. But that was an early decision that had to be made.
Yeah. And How do you have to go back and do takes because you get too excited?
Very occasionally, I will. I mean, there's a lot of editing that goes on, and it's certainly not a smooth read through. There's a lot of, you know, swearing, and I thought about doing an outtakes bonus episode, but it might put people off. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, and I feel like if you are a fan of this, you are a huge fan of this. You don't go halfway with this show. Can you talk a little bit about the fandom you have found that has developed around this imaginary league?
Yeah, I feel like when I put this out, I thought this is the dumbest niche thing. Like, I thought that there's a certain kind of person that will be super into this, but they're few and far between. And I mean, how do you even, get to them? But
Right.
I feel like it was more successful earlier and more quickly than I had thought it would be. And I think you're right that it's a lot, it's people that love it actually like totally love it, and then they tell five of their friends who they think will love it. So it's been a huge like word of mouth kind of thing happening. So people like
How
it.
deep, yeah, deep does the fandom go? Are they keeping track of stuff? Are they correcting you on errors with with batters or with pitchers?
I absolutely hear if I make a technical mistake, I will certainly get a number of emails about it for sure. They're all very nice. I will say, like the internet's a terrible, horrible, wonderful place. But I feel like the maybe just because of the tone of the thing or something, it's not really worth having like trolls and haters because it's such a weird ambient nothing that I don't
Yeah,
feel like, you know,
it seems like it would be hard to get so worked up that you would need to, you know, do anything more than capitalize the first word in each sentence.
right, right,
It's got to be like E. E. Cummings complaints, all lowercase, and
right.
it's it's an amazing. Were you expecting this to? I mean, you said you were going to put it up and let kind of people find it, but like, were you hoping, thinking it would get to this level of? I mean, you've been written up in the New Yorker for God's sakes. Like that's a
Right.
pretty good, put that on a t-shirt type moment.
Right. Um, well, so I committed to myself to do 12 episodes originally. Because, things take time to find the people that like it or whatever. So I knew that I was ready for that. And like, we'll give it a year. We'll do 12 episodes and then we'll reevaluate. But yeah, it took off fairly quickly.
It- did you advertise for this thing? And how do you advertise for it? Or just you just put it out there and let people find it?
I just put it out there and just on my personal like Facebook page. And I think at the time I've since jumped ship on Twitter. We don't need to get into that, but
We don't, yeah, let's not.
I just put a thing on Twitter like, hey, here's a weird thing I did. And a couple of my like some folks who I am acquaintances with found it and were like, this is awesome. They were friends with a guy who was at the time a writer for Fangraphs.
Hmm.
So, like a week after the first episode came out, the Fangraphs blog had a story about it, and that got a bunch of new followers from that, and then it just kind of there's these moments where a media thing, probably like this today, actually. It's probably we're going to see a
Hmm.
big spike from
Oh,
your show,
huge. Yep,
huge. But
huge.
yeah, so there's been moments like that where here I'm on the WGN morning news or whatever. The New Yorker thing was huge. So yeah, every a couple times a year something comes along like that. So it's fun,
And
good times.
yeah, and what about your listeners? Is it a worldwide phenomenon or is it America, South America, and Asia? Where are your listening bases? Any surprises?
Um, Last year, I think last summer, there was a long form, sort of like the New Yorker article, really long
Hmm.
form piece about it in, now I'm blanking on the name. It's the premier news, it's like the New York Times of Germany. But there was this
Oh,
long, because I was looking at my stats, I'm like, I have 10,000 listeners in Berlin all of a sudden. That seems weird. And then somebody sent me this article that was this giant article in this German newspaper of note. So I'm big in Germany, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, gotcha. That is so folks are listening who might not even understand the game completely. It'd be like listening to a cricket broadcast, I feel like for
Right.
most Americans.
Yeah, I've wondered about that. Like, I would listen to the Japanese language version of this show myself. I feel like
Hmm.
I could get down with that.
Can you, as you said kind of at the beginning, as an insomniac, does this work for you, or is it just you're bringing work home with you if you try to listen to this?
Yeah, I can. I have to be very, very sleepy to use it. Otherwise, I'll just hear things that I wish I had done differently, maybe. So
And
this
one of
doesn't work for me, but
right.
it
Well, your
probably
pack
would. It would if it wasn't me, if hadn't made the sausage, as they say.
and the other thing, the background noise and the just the layers of it is so wonderful. Obviously, there's the players, there's the pitcher, there's the crack of the bat, all of that sort of thing. But then when you get into the crowd, you have these little pockets of cheering that come up from time to time. Uh, and I found myself sort of trying to make a almost inadvertently start to tell myself a story about why they're cheering. Is this
Right.
their favorite player at bat? Is this a great play? Is there something, is someone singing happy birthday? How do you decide where that sort of thing goes? Is there any rhyme or reason to it?
Um, so I'm sort of when I'm editing this, I'm looking at this multi-track timeline.
Hmm.
Two of which are like extra crowd noises. Um, and I just kind of listen along, and sometimes when it's needed, and sometimes just like you say, to maybe maybe have you guessing what might be happening. So it's definitely an important part of my editing process.
And I found from my own work, when you're pulling sound effects, there's always those little things that are kind of almost the telltales, where it's like somebody says something too clearly, or there's a particular sound that every time you play that clip at a certain time, you hear that person. Um, where are you getting these from? Is this a full 3 hour, someone just sat at a game and recorded? And if they did, I'm assuming you have to do a lot of editing for all the walk-up music and the announcers. Is that even possible? There's too much stuff going on at a game
Right.
nowadays.
Yeah, so I have I think it was some I think it was Pond 5 or something I got many of them from.
Hmm.
Uh, just like a royalty free, pay $5 or whatever. I don't know what it is now, but I did find a sort of ambient baseball crowd noise that is maybe a couple minutes long, and there's no like walk-up music or anything. So I sort of have that looped as one level of sound, and then there's
Hmm.
shorter audience stuff on top of that.
And what's your background? Would you, I'm assuming looking at just at the video here of you surrounded in a booth filled with egg foam.
Homemade.
The foam or the
Oh
booth?
no, the box. The
Yes.
box is that's a DIY project, but yes.
Do you work in media, in audio, in video? Where's your
I
background,
used
if you feel comfortable?
Sure, yeah, I worked as a freelance video photo guy and occasional audio person too, just because that's kind of they're kind of all rolled into one sometimes. So I did have a some audio production background, not too much, but enough to it was probably easier for me to get started than it would be if you were coming in completely cold.
Yeah. How far do you see this going? Do you want to expand? Do you want to do different things? I mean, you said doing an outtake episode. How far do you want to kind of keep this world of this league going?
The sky's the limit. It would be great if, like, I don't know, Bill Murray became a fan and then decided that hey, somebody should turn this into a HBO series. That'd be awesome.
Hmm. That's a great
So yeah,
idea.
yeah. I mean, well, I'm definitely this year hoping to expand the merch offerings, and we're gonna try to finally get our celebrity golf special episode.
Ooh,
I need to get a few episodes ahead so I can, because I think that'll take a lot more time than I'm used to, but stay tuned.
yeah.
We'll see.
How far ahead in the season are you?
Not, I mean, embarrassingly
Not as much as you would
not.
like,
Yes, I'd
certainly.
love to be 4 episodes ahead, and I'm about halfway done with April's episode. So that's not terrible, but hopefully I can get a couple more knocked
Yeah.
out.
It's just such a fascinating and wonderful, like I said, world. Like it just feels like you're just completely dropped into this. That's really, really just magical stuff. I feel like how early on in the process did you kind of start going like, I think this might work as you're cutting together that first episode? Or did you know?
No, I definitely the first episode I definitely did not feel like it was working at all. After a few, I mean, that New Yorker story came out, I mean, I think before episode 4, so I mean that was pretty early on in the thing. I feel like episode 3 was where I sort of felt like, oh yeah, this can be good. I see how
Hmm.
this can come together and the sponsors and whatnot, the whole little world of it. Um, Episode 3 is where I felt like, okay, we can expand this slowly.
Uh, is Wally going to keep doing the games?
As far
How's
as
his
I know,
contract looking?
as
Is
far as
he
yeah, he's definitely on board for the rest of the year.
all right? And then
I,
after that, who
who
knows?
knows? Who knows? The cutthroat industry. They might
I
get purchased by Clear Channel or something and
exactly, yeah.
become a robotic soft rock station. Who can say?
The Northwoods Baseball Radio Network is available right now wherever you get your podcasts. For more information, check out their website, sleepbaseball.com.
Why the Podcast is produced by the Professional Production Company. Please be sure to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts because we're shallow and need constant validation. For more information, you can check out our website, whythepodcast.com. And like everyone else, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Today's show was recorded and produced by Heidi Hedquist and myself from our world headquarters located on the second floor of the professional office building, centrally located downtown. Our reluctant executive producers are John Sauvé and Sandy Stone. Our willing producers are Rachel Allen and Randy Jeanette. Our intern is Zach Jackson. This one's for Philippe. Thanks for joining us. Flash, we're coming home.
Nigel, is that you? Are you here, Nigel?